How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Goosebumps number 5, The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. This was written by R.L. Stine and originally came out in 1993. And overall, while I did have a fun time with this book, I do have some gripes, but I feel like this one, a lot of the gripes from the people that read it, they know what they're going to be, and there's been kind of a good critical consistency on this book, and I think the best way to describe this is as an adventure and exploring book. I really did like it. The problem comes in with the horror element being a little bit in the background, and let me explain. There's lots of this book that I really did like. Going to Egypt, you really do feel like you're traveling to another country, which was always cool. There's a fun chase sequence through a museum, and also exploring the pyramids. The main character sees them and wishes he could go in, and then through circumstance, he actually does get to go in, and there's some really fun sequences in the pyramids, which, yeah, doing an Egyptian mummy book, that's really what we want. Dark, claustrophobic tunnels, the character is worried he's going to get lost, and the idea that the air is stale, and he realizes, I'm breathing in air that probably hasn't been breathed in thousands of years. There's some really cool stuff here. The thing is, though, you read the book, you go page after page, and you start to go, oh boy, when's this really cool mummy gonna show up? And then you get a little past the halfway point, and you're like, oh no, when is this really cool mummy gonna show up? And I will say, there are pages of mummy action in this book, but not till really close to the end. And yeah, sometimes horror stories do this where it's like the cool horror stuff is kind of bottled up at the end there, and when the mummy action does happen, it's cool, but a little short and a little late, you know, so I did want more mummy pages, you know. I wanted the mummy to be this big, impressive villain, and that's not really what we get. There is a bit where people that worked at the site have to go to the hospital, and they think there's some sort of mummy's curse, and one of the people that works at the site is acting a little strangely. You know, there is that, but I really did wish this was more, you know, in-your-face mummies, and that's not really what we get, you know. So even though that element was a little disappointing, what was here did work and was cool, but it's just, you know, expectations, you know? And overall, though, I did have fun, but I do wish we had more mummies, and I know that mummies would be a reoccurring character in Goosebumps, or, well, archetype, I guess you'd say. I don't know if they're the same ones that are in this book, you know, because there's this whole, you know, family that they describe, but I don't know if the rest of the Goosebumps mummy books are related to this or not. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this book's about. So no major spoilers, but let's take a little peek inside. We open up with Gabe. Gabe is from America, but him and his family are actually Egyptian. His parents travel the world doing sales, and they decided to bring the family over to Egypt because that's where their family's from. And right off the bat, I think that's a cool idea. You know, it does give diversity, but it also gives the characters a connection to this country, which, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So, they're Egyptian Americans. They're going over here to sell refrigerator equipment. There's actually a few jokes about it being so hot in Egypt and ironic things like their parents sell refrigerators, and also This book takes place during Christmas break, but you'd never know it because you're in the middle of the desert. There's some fun stuff. But anyway, the kid, Gabe, has an Uncle Ben who is an archaeologist. And he's like, I want to see Ben. I want to see inside the pyramids, which of course his parents say, you're never gonna do. But they're at the hotel later that night, and the parents get an emergency call. There's a big business thing that they have to do, and they say, we're gonna leave you in the hotel for a while. Your Uncle Ben will show up and take you to stay with him for a few days. So yeah, if his uncle, who works at the pyramids, is going to have to look after him, it looks like he is going to get to see the inside of the pyramids. However, Uncle Ben does have a daughter, Sari, who he's very competitive with, and the two will constantly try to one-up each other. And when scary things start to happen, they both want to prove to the other one that they're braver. But yeah, they do get eventually to look inside the tomb. And the deal is they've recently uncovered a new passage that no one's ever found before, and they are exploring it. And you will get scenes where they go through the tunnels, they're claustrophobic and winding, and you're looking around, finding, mummy cases and big murals and stuff like that. Of course, Uncle Ben's team is going to start to have to go to the hospital for some curse. One of his team members is going to be acting strangely, and the kids are going to eventually realize that there's something going on deep within the tombs, but I really don't want to spoil it for you because it is a little different, like I said earlier, than you might expect. I will say, eventually, mummy stuff does happen, but you get a whole bunch of pranks throughout this book. It almost feels like one of those slasher movies, where it's like, it's not a slasher till the third act, and then there's a bunch of, it's just me, your friend, playing a joke on you, and that does get a little tiring. But overall, it is super fun to explore Egypt. I just wish we got more mummy action, Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my R.L. Stine playlist, where you can see my reviews for Night of the Living Dummy, a ton of Fear Street, and also his new comic, Stuff of Nightmares. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Stine playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.